howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 268.
Oh, yes.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator.
I could retire and do that.
I'm the doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Howdy dowdy doody doody doo, Who fans. Welcome aboard, 268. Hope you've all had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related. During semi-lockdown.
During a really hot, steaming lockdown.
It's quite humid this
baking
morning.
in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes a change.
Yes. Yeah, to all of our listeners in the UK, bit of a weird time. I'm not sure about our other listeners in other countries, but here in the UK, it's very weird. For those that don't know, our Prime Minister and our government is a little bit... we don't do politics really here, but our Prime Minister, the message is a little bit mixed on what you should or shouldn't be doing at the moment in lockdown. So we're in a bit of a weird time. Yes, go outside. Don't go outside. Go outside if you need to. Go to work. Yeah. Go to work. Don't go to work. If you need to work, go to work, but don't use the bus. But go to work if you need to. But use the bus if you have to. But then don't go to work. Stay inside. It's all a bit like, it's all a bit weird. So
you could see a family member if you're in a park, but you can't see them anywhere else.
Yes, I can't have my family over, but I can have the cleaner over. So that's all good.
Yeah. And you can play golf.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Most importantly, the golf courses are back open. What is that? What is going on?
What's going on? Crazy times, eh?
Crazy.
But I hope all of our listeners are doing well and staying safe as always. We have a bit of a crazy one this week. We're running late for the week. So,
we are. Yeah.
So apologies, but I'm sure there are bigger fish to fry. You been up to anything, Doctor Who, buddy? I've seen. I've not been involved in some of the watch-alongs this week. I've been a bit quiet with that. I've just had other stuff to do. I've been watching other stuff. But I've seen that you've been doing some watch and tweet-alongs, which is cool. Yeah,
so this all came out of the Doctor Who quiz that we sometimes get involved in, run by our good friends Callum and Adam. It's called the Virtual Doctor Who Pub Quiz. They asked me to do a round this week, which I was really excited about. And I was like, oh, what should I do it on? Like, they're like, oh, it's going to be Time in the Rani because you love that one. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. But then I decided to do a round on the whole of season 24 as well to open it up a bit.
Nice.
And it's a bit of a, it's one of those seasons, isn't it, that I think it gets a bit of a bashing. Some of it rightly so, but I've always had a bit of a fondness for it because I love McCoy's Doctor, and I think there's a lot of fun in that season, even though it's trying to find its feet again. So Adam suggested, as there would probably be a lot of people in the quiz that may not have seen those stories, so you got Time in the Rani, Paradise Towers, Delta and the Bannermen, and Dragonfire, Adam said, why don't I do some tweet-alongs leading up to the quiz? And I was like, brilliant idea, Ad. That way everyone can watch them. They can all do their revision. And, and it'll be really good. So that's what we did. So, every night this week leading up to Wednesday to the quiz, Adam's been doing tweet-alongs for all those stories. And I did the quiz round on Wednesday. So it's really good. So I've watched the whole of season 24 in the space of 4 days. Yeah. I really enjoyed it, actually, even though I've seen those stories loads. And I think we've reviewed all of them. Have we still got one McCoy that we haven't reviewed? Is it still Curse of Fenric?
We have, yeah. It's I think you're right, yeah. Curse of Fenric.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the one that seemed to be getting a lot of love was Doubt and the Bannermen, which
really?
I think when we reviewed it, that's the one we cracked up on. Because of Mel offering her room to the green baby alien and stuff. But it is fun, isn't it? I mean, it's a bonkers story, and it's not to be taken seriously. But I have a real fondness for that one. If I'm in the mood just for some switch your brain off, bit of classic Who that's just a bit of fun, I think that's a great one to go to. I really enjoyed rewatching that. My other half was completely bemused though, because the baby is a green baby. He's like, well, hang on, it was a puppet a minute ago, and now it's an actual baby, and then the next scene it's a girl, and I was like, yeah, they grow up so fast, these Shimmeron.
So fast. They do, yeah.
So
Season 24, mate, that's a belter. Yeah, on our Discord server this morning, actually, somebody said, I'm going to go onto Amazon and buy some classic Doctor Who for some doctors I've not seen yet. I've been eyeing up some Colin Baker and McCoy. So I said, yeah, you've got some great ones to look forward to in the McCoy series. And series 24, or season 24, we're going on the Blu-ray box set wording, which still irks me.
You hate that word, don't you?
Yeah, there's some belters on there, man. It really is. I think
Paradise Towers is a great story. Maybe doesn't quite translate to screen, but and Richard Price, I love Richard Price, but my word, is he chewing the scenery in that story. But it's a great, like, the world that they build in that story, I think is brilliant. I think it's quite underrated, actually. But yeah, so that was really good. I really enjoyed doing the quiz. Enjoyed that a lot. And I think people seem to do all right. I gave him multiple choice. I was easy. I went easy on him because you
softy.
I wasn't going to, but I thought, no. So I did multiple choice. It was fun coming up with planet names, though, and stuff like that. Because I was like, so obviously, one of the answers was Lacertia. And I was like, right, now I need to think of 2 other planet names. So I was coming out with all sorts of, like, Tetrapara. What was the other one? Mantaloria or something. So it's good to come up with silly words that meant nothing to try and throw people. Apart from that, I've been continuing to read Eccles Cake's book.
Eccles Cake.
Christopher Eccles Cakes. I've managed to read the whole 1.5 chapters on Doctor Who that it's put in there. I'm actually really enjoying his book, but and I know it's not about Doctor Who, but it's quite frustrating because he's just getting into talking about it, and then he stops. It's a bit like Davison. You've read Davison's biography, haven't you?
Yeah, it's the similar thing, isn't it?
Just starts talking about the 5 Doctors, and you're like, "Oh, this is good," and then he stops and goes on about something else, and you're like, "Ah." But yeah, that was good. So yeah, quite a busy little Who week for me. It's been quite good, actually. Good to watch a bit of McCoy, good to read a bit of Eccles Cake.
Nice.
I probably will have finished that by next week. I'm rattling through it out in the sunshine in the garden.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's been me. What have you been up to?
Yeah, not too much, mate. Doctor Who wise, no. No, not too much at all. Not this week. I normally follow along with the watch-alongs with the tweets and all that stuff. The only ones I've seen, actually, your ones, when you said that you watched all of season 24 and you were tweeting out stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen your tweets and they were quite cool, but I've not done anything Doctor Who wise other than watch Vervoids, obviously, for this week. Yeah,
it's funny trying to fit that in as well between McCoy, because I watched it on this is before we knew we'd have to record on Friday. I watched it on Monday, so I've had a few days to let that sink in. Yeah. What was I going to say? There was a listen tweet along, wasn't there, with the Moffat the other night. I didn't get involved in that one, but what a strange choice for an episode of all the Capaldi ones. And I think normally they pick ones if it's like a birthday or it was sort of 5 years ago since it was shown, but it seems like they plucked that out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
I know the Moffat said he's really proud of that script, but I didn't do the watch along or tweet along, so my memories of that are not that good. I can't remember much about it, to be honest, but I remember thinking it was quite messy, like it didn't go anywhere. But I don't know. I almost wish I'd watched it again to familiarise myself with it. But yeah, the Moffat was having a good old tweet along to that.
Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't go with the tweet along. But yeah, a bit of an odd choice, that one.
Yeah, a strange one out of all the Capaldis. Which Capaldi would you pick for a tweet along?
Capaldi?
Yeah.
I don't know. Mummy on the Orient Express would be good.
Oh, yeah.
Mummy on the Orient Express. That'd
Yes.
be good. Or potentially, I don't know. Face the Raven. It's an interesting one. Because we thought we were saying goodbye to Clara. I'm not saying that because of Clara. I'm just saying it was a good, interesting one for her to go. Well, pseudo go, which is quite cool. And then maybe
I love the ending to that, by the way. When Capaldi's just steaming, isn't he?
Yeah,
You really feel like he could blow at any minute. That's what I love about Capaldi's Doctor.
Yeah,
just never know when he's going to kick off.
Do you know what, dude? I think out of all of the modern Doctors, I think, and this is sad to say, but I think Capaldi is the era that I watch the least out of all the modern Doctors. I don't know why that is, but yeah, like there are some. Like I'm looking down the list at the moment of the 3 series that he did. And I'll be honest with you, mate, there are some on here that I'd completely forgotten about. They even existed, let alone what happens in the story. So tell me what happens in the story Oxygen.
Oxygen, yes. I'm not even joking, actually. I can't remember.
I completely forgot that episode
Oxygen.
even existed.
Is that the one where
mate.
he goes blind?
I don't know.
I'm not even, I swear I'm not even joking. I can't remember.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know why that is. Just for some reason, the Capaldi stuff I just don't gravitate towards. And it's weird because he's such a great Doctor in some of those stories. Really good. But yeah, I don't know, dude.
He is a great Doctor. I feel the same. I think it's because there are. It's a bit of a Matt Smith thing as well. I love both their Doctors, but some of their stories I just don't feel like rewatching them. They're just not up there. Storytelling just wasn't up there for me with some of theirs. Because you're quite right. I'm looking at the list now and I'm thinking, Eaters of Light. Can you remember anything about that? Eaters of Light. A
little bit.
No, this is really bad. Now I'm looking at the list of his stories. I'm like, you're right. I don't, I mean, stuff like Robots of Sherwood and stuff that, things stick in your mind. And I think Into the Dalek, when I recently rewatched that with the Who Addicts watch along, that actually was not too bad. It was all right, that story. I do think Mum is a great one. I think the whole concept of that was really good.
Yeah,
I seem to remember liking Flatline, but again, I can't remember a lot about it. I remember the mini TARDIS.
Oh, that was cool, Flatline. It was the dudes that turned into the...
that.
Yeah, that was good.
Even though it was very focused on Clara, wasn't it, that one? But I still enjoyed it. Oh, my word. In the Forest of Night, good Lord, that was bad. The Zygon inversion, I remember I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, there's other ones which I look at the titles and like you said, it's a bit blank.
It's mostly series 10, I think. So series 8, I remember pretty much all of that. All of that stuff was great.
I do I wouldn't mind watching the Monk trilogy again, but do you know what I remember about that is that I think it had a really good build up, but if I remember rightly, such a disappointing third sort of the wrap up of that story was bad, if I remember rightly.
What was that?
Like
the Lie of the Land?
I don't know what the 3-part was called, but you had the Capaldi was blind, and you had the scary monk things. There was a lot of good stuff going on, and then episode 3, I just remember there was like a fake regeneration, and it just went to pot.
Well, that must have been so that was the pyramid at the end of the world. Was that the third one of the Monk trilogy?
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Yes, Oxygen, Extremis, and
That's
Pyramid
right,
at the end of it.
yeah.
I think they were sort of loosely linked, and
yes,
I just remember liking a lot of what was going on, but then thinking part 3 was just like, it just fell apart. But I haven't watched them for ages. I'm going to go back and rewatch that trilogy, see if it's as good stroke bad as I remember.
Yeah, like I said, it's a shame because Capaldi as the Doctor was really, really good in certain points. Yeah, so I don't know. I just feel sad. I felt sad about that for a moment because I always go for Eccleston, Tennant, or Smith really. and just leave out old Capaldi.
I know what you mean. I do. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. I haven't done anything else, buddy. Nothing else.
Are you reading any of your mountains of books at the minute?
I am, but they're not Doctor Who related at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm reading I've got a couple of books on the go. Rereading Lord of the Rings at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for like the 10th time or something.
That always makes you think of school, because I read that at school.
Yeah, and a book about Chernobyl. So nothing Doctor Who related.
Cheery stuff then.
Cheery stuff indeed, yeah. Because it's weird, mate, because I go through weeks where I've got literally nothing. Like the reason why I haven't watched much Doctor Who is just loads of other stuff on the watch list that I'm going through at the moment. And then there are other weeks where I've got literally nothing, so I normally then reach for some Doctor Who stuff. But yeah, just quiet at the moment.
I'll tell you what I would recommend to you. I think I said this the other week, but I've only finished reading it literally 2 days ago, is the Moffat RTD interview in the latest Doctor Who magazine.
Oh, yeah.
So I started reading it when I got it last week or whenever it finally turned up. And I finished reading it literally the other day. It's just so funny. I just love those two together. I just love it. They really, really just bounce off each other, even on text. It's brilliant. Yeah, if you're in your supermarket anytime, I really do recommend picking it up just for that. It's a great interview, that is. They talk about all the stuff they planned, and he was like, well, when you were writing, when I was in charge and you were writing, and all this, the banter's great in that
cool.
interview. Yeah, you would like that, I tell you. That's a good one for sitting out in the garden and just having a good old laugh. Yeah,
nice.
Great, those
cool.
two.
So we've got no news to go through, which is expected at the moment.
Going on, is there?
Yeah, we've got a couple of bits of merch to get onto before we then review part 3 of Trial of a Time Lord, which is good. But before we crack on with the rest of the show, remember to subscribe on whatever podcast app you listen to your podcasts on. That way you won't miss a show when it lands every single Friday. Head over to the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. There are links to go off to all of those networks and apps. Plus, there are links to all the social networks that we're on as well, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Give us a like and a follow over there so you can chat Doctor Who throughout the week in between shows. There's also a link to our Discord server. Come and hang out and chat Doctor Who over there. And also check out Adam's YouTube channel, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, I need to get some. I know I haven't uploaded for a while, but there's some great stuff on there, guys. Go and have a look. But I can't make vids at the minute since Movie Maker decided to do one. I've tried a couple of editing software things since then, but I just haven't got on with any. You know, when you get used to something, and Gary will tell you this when we try to use a different thing to Skype to record the podcast. I'm not good with technology. Like once I get used to something, that's it. I will stay with it forever.
Yeah.
So when I have to change, I'm just not good. I fear change, and I just can't get on with anything at the minute. Editing software wise, I just get so. Movie Maker had it all. It was so basic and it was so easy to use. And then one day it just stopped working, and I went to try and fix it, and apparently it's not a thing anymore. They don't do Movie Maker anymore, so that's why I haven't uploaded for a while, because I just can't get on with the video software that I've got at the minute. I need to try a few more.
You have to persevere, dude.
But
you're in a habit with the other.
There's plenty of videos on there to keep you going. If you hadn't, have a look. Go and have a look.
There is a year's worth of great stuff over there, and Adam's on the socials as well under the same name, The Geek's Handbag.
And I am very active on. I love the socials. I love interacting with people on there. Yeah.
Yes, indeedy. So, right, no news. Let's do some merch.
Alrighty.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Well, there you are, young man. What do you think of that now, eh? A Viking helmet.
I know, it's on the telly. It's everywhere.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
I work in a shop now. Here to help.
Oh, someone's got the right arm now.
He's sunburnt, isn't he? He looks a bit red.
Yeah, that sun's gone to his head. The last couple of days, as Adam said earlier, in the UK, we've had some really lovely hot weather. I don't know why he does it every time. It's like I explain to him, like, you should know, like how physics works and all that stuff. You're essentially a soft, smushy organism inside a metal can. So when you go out into the sun, it's a bit like putting a can of peas in the microwave. Does he listen? No.
No.
So he's got heat stroke at the minute. Yeah.
Doesn't wear any sun cream.
Nothing. No. He
did wear a silly hat the other day that made me laugh.
He's got one tentacle that's got a suntan. He pokes just one little tentacle out, and that's your lot. So he's not happy. He's got sunstroke at the minute. He's not quite happy, but
he's never happy.
He's never happy. Miserable sod. But he has let us know about a very cool book that's on the way. So BBC Books.
We can't get enough books, can we, Gary?
Of course, yeah. They've announced a new hardback book that goes into explores the background of some of the important parts of Doctor Who over the years, some elements that are worth talking about. It's been written by Paul Lang alongside Jonathan Morris and Penny C.S. Andrews, and it's called Doctor Who: The Monster Vault, The Doctor's Enemies Unlocked. And it's got some cool... I can't see inside the book yet. They haven't given us a preview yet, but it's illustrated by Lee Johnson and Ben Morris. Now, I know I've seen some of Ben Morris's stuff in some other books. It's very, very cool. And to give you some blurb on this one, so Doctor Who's biggest and most comprehensive monster guide yet. The Monster Vault takes you on the ultimate tour of the Whoniverse, discovering and cataloguing every wonderful and terrifying creature the Doctor has ever encountered. From the notorious Daleks to the evil Stenza warrior Tim Shah. Oh, God. And the ancient Tajarians. The Monster Vault features in-depth profiles on each monster, showing you the Doctor's most dangerous enemies in their natural habitat and unveiling their secret histories. You will also discover how monsters were created and designed through exclusive behind-the-scenes interviews, anecdotes, case studies, and unseen artwork. This lavish and visually stunning book provides an unrivaled wealth of information, allowing you to explore the rich history of Doctor Who and expand your knowledge and understanding of monsters old and new. That's quite the claim.
It is, isn't it?
Unrivaled wealth of information. We've been down this road before. Remember, there was a really, really cool book that came out a few years back now. I think it was just called Dalek or Daleks. It was a big hardcover.
Oh, yes, I do, yeah.
Book. Do you remember? And they made a similar claim. This is like all you ever need to know about the Daleks and stuff. And then when the first reviews dropped, they were like, people were just doing this kind of weird side eye and like, where's all the information about this bit then? And where's all that bit? And where's all, there's like a really important story that you don't mention and all that lot. So we'll see how this claim rolls out. But it does sound very cool. It sounds like I said, we haven't seen the format yet, but it sounds like one of those big, nice... you remember that book that came out, The Doctor Who Vault? I think it was called.
Exactly thinking of that.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be in a similar size and format to that, which is pretty cool. But I quite like this, dude. I quite like the idea of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and all the unseen artwork and all that lot. It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's potentially could be a nice little book. I agree with you. I thought of The Vault as well, which is a great book, actually. Really, really good book that came out a few years ago, The Doctor Who Vault. If this is anything like that or whatever, yeah, it does. It's weird because when I first saw the cover, I was like, oh, what is that cover? And yet now I'm looking at it, it's kind of growing on me a little bit, actually. I'm thinking, actually, it's all right. I think it's one of those that will look better in hand, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yep. It does look cool. It's
it's growing on me. That I just wasn't too struck on it when I first saw it, but
it's like a circle in the middle with the title of the book, and then there's all these like triangle shards that are sort of, it doesn't look like an explosion of sorts, but it looks like all these shards and triangles are sort of coming out of it, and then you've got these cool little black and white illustrations of some of the monsters and stuff. So yeah, it looks, and they've got all the important ones on there. On the front, of course, the bloody Pating's on there.
Oh, is it? Because where's he?
Right on the front, top right by the Ice Warrior.
Yes. He's on there. Of course he is. He's the most threatening, frightening thing in the universe.
Of course, yeah.
Of course, he's got to be on there.
Mind you, we have to give him a bit of slack. They are covering Doctor Who monsters, old and new. So it's not all about the classic years. Adam, come on, get with the times.
I know, get with it. What's that thing in the bottom? The very bottom right-hand corner. What is that?
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
Is that?
It could.
Because I recognise it, but I can't think what it is.
Yeah. Oh, it's is it a weevil?
It could be.
With the big teeth. That's the only thing I can... Yeah. It's very difficult to do this on a podcast because you guys can't see. But
if turned into a quiz.
Yeah, if I put the link... I will do. I'll put the link in the show notes to the Amazon page to pre-order it. And you can have a look for yourselves. But yeah, it's I quite like the cover. It's kind of cool. What would be cool is when the final physical book comes out, is... So on the cover, all of these triangles are in a gold colour. It would be cool if they had that shiny effect when it's printed. Yeah, that'd be cool. But anyways, yeah, it's out in October. So the end of October the 22nd, you can pre-order it now from Amazon and probably a bunch of other book websites, and it's £22.
22.
Yeah, or you can get the Kindle edition for $12.99 if that floats your boat. It won't look as cool on the shelf, but cheaper.
No. Yeah. Another one for us to put on our shelf.
Of course.
Pile.
Yeah. There we go. The Monster Vault, out in October.
So 6 new Doctor Who collector's set from character being dropped into B&M stores exclusively to B&M. So yeah, we are getting we're getting a fan pack. So it's called The Friends and Foes of the 13th Doctor with Yaz, Graham and a Jadoon wearing his helmet. We are getting, this is the one I'm excited for, of course, because I can never get enough models of the TARDIS. We're getting a second Doctor TARDIS set, which is based on the War Games. It's good. I do like the fact that they've put a little rip in the Doctor's trousers there on the second Doctor figure. Attention to detail. We're getting 2 Dalek sets. So we're getting what are they called? History of the Dalek sets, which is like the silver and blue Daleks. And we're also getting a Dalek Invasion Earth collector set with the black and blue and silver and grey. We're getting what are they calling this set?
Companions of the Fourth Doctor set. That's
it, with Sarah Jane in her combat trousers. This figure in the middle, Romana 1.
Yep.
It's a bit of I really like Romana 1, but I don't know about the choice of costume. I guess they've had to retool some figure to make that, but Romana 1 anyway, and Romana 2. And I do like this figure because she's wearing the sort of she's wearing the Destiny of the Daleks costume, which I would think was pretty good, easy for them to make. So that's a good set. We're getting a 1971 unit Claws of Axos set. Now this will be the one you'll get because it's got it's got the brig, obviously. Great figure. They have got a good likeness to the brig. I'll give them that. Sergeant Benton and of course Captain Yates. So who doesn't want a Benton figure on the shelf? I can't wait to see that in the background of Gary's shelf. I think that's it. Actually, that is 6, isn't it? That's your lot. That's your lot. So 6 new sets to go and try and track down at your local B&M. They're supposed to be coming out the middle of June. Just quickly before I get your opinion on this, mate, I just want to say, first of all, I always buy these sets. I love figures and toys. I always get them, no matter how good or bad. I am looking forward to getting that TARDIS set. What I'm not looking forward to is going to B&M and trying to get these, because it's bad enough normally, because people, as we know, lots of people just go and buy all the stock and then they put them on eBay for silly prices and fans can't get their hands on them, blah, blah, blah. You can't order them online, blah, blah, blah. So there's that. But the thing that's really, really worrying me about trying to get these sets, sort of genuinely, is that is going into the actual B&M store to get them, because we went to our supermarket last week to get the groceries, and obviously we're still in lockdown. Things are still, being monitored and all that sort of stuff. And next door to the Sainsbury's we went to was a B&M store, and I said, I'm just going to nip in because it's open. They're still open, and the lockdown's easing. And I said, you go and get the shopping to my other half. I'm just going to nip into B&M. I have never wanted to get out of a place so quickly in my life, and I'm not even exaggerating. I walked to the door, and it was packed, and I tried to turn around to go straight back out and couldn't because there were people behind me. No one, and I mean no one, was social distancing at all, so I had to fight I didn't even look at anything in there. I just wanted to get straight out. It was because I couldn't believe how busy it was, so I literally fought my way to the tills and had to say to him, I'm not buying anything. I just want to come through. I just want to get out. And she was like, okay. So, but just getting to the tills, mate, just no one was, it was just rammed. There was just people all around me. I couldn't stand it. There was no social distance. So I'm really, really dreading trying to get these. I have to be honest. I just wish that they could make them available online. I mean, it's 2020 B&M, for goodness sake.
Well, I think that's part of what they're going for. I think is to steer clear of that and get people into that. I think that's part of the pull, really. You know, if they get 1,000 Doctor Who fans into B&M stores, hopefully they'll buy other stuff. You know, so I
just think in this time of lockdown, they need to, even if they set up an eBay store. Because, you know, that's the thing. They'll just go up on eBay for twice the price and stuff. I mean, when the last figure set came out that was the 13th Doctor ones, that weren't exclusive to B&M, it was such a joy. It was so easy. Went on Forbidden Planet website, ordered it, arrived 2 weeks later, you know, when they were released. It's just so easy when they're not exclusive to B&M. But anyway, rant over. I'm just not looking forward to actually having to try and get these. I really don't want to venture out to the store to get them. But unfortunately with B&M, you have to. But yeah, they do look good. That's me. Anyway, I just want to know, any of these sets, I know you're not a figure person. I can't imagine you picking any of these up. But is anything there slightly tempting you?
Well, I am a figure person. I'm just not a fan of character over the last couple of years. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a real shame about the Claws of Axos set, because the Brig looks quite cool.
He is good.
But with the other figures, so Yates and Benton, you can see what they've done from
the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, from a financial point of view, you can see what they've done. From the neck down, the figures are identical. All they've done is they've tried to tweak the face just a little bit. Even the hat, you know, the beret's exactly the same. So they've just tried to tweak the face a little bit. So that's a bit of a shame. But and yeah, the Romana ones and Sarah Jane. Yeah. The only one I would consider really would be the second Doctor in the TARDIS, I think. Because he does look
I
kind
do
of
like
cool.
the look of that.
Yeah, maybe the Daleks, but
the Dalek Invasion Earth one, the black and blue.
The black and the silver. Because you get the silver one and the black and blue one with that. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. So maybe.
Yeah.
I assume you're going to try and bag these, but
yes, I'll try and get them all. I just, you know me, I love collecting these sets, so I really do. So yes, I'll be trying to get them. But the TARDIS is the one that I'm immediately drawn to.
Yeah.
They've put a different lamp on it. The signage is a bit different. It's nice to have a second Doctor set. So yeah, that's the one I'd like to get.
Yes, and when are these out? Next month? Some point
supposed
in June.
To be middle of June. It's supposed to be starting to hit the stores. So yeah, I think if you live in the US, these are going to be available from the official North American Doctor Who store, BBC Shop. So you lucky US people should be able to order these online, I believe.
Oh, nice.
God, imagine if we still had the BBC Shop. I used to order quite a lot from them.
That was cool actually when we had the official BBC Shop. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Times have changed, mate. Eh?
They have.
Oh dear. Anyway, B&M sets on the way. Right, that's it for news and merch. Time for our review. What we got this week, dude?
Yeah, so part 3 of the Trial of a Time Lord season with Colin Baker, and this one's called Terror of the Vervoids.
I was taken out of time for another reason, and I have every intention of finding out what it is. My submission concerns a crisis which threatens the lives not only of a group of people confined together with no means of escape, but would, if unresolved, threaten every mortal being on the planet Earth. Yes, it is Captain Tonka Travers.
Commodore.
Oh, didn't you send the medical?
My dear Melanie, if you wish to pursue this completely arbitrary course, pray hurry along to the hydroponics center.
Hold it! I reviewed that section earlier when I was preparing my defense. There have been changes. No, look, I'm sorry, madam, I can't explain, but I have a feeling I am being manipulated.
No, it is we who are being manipulated.
Can't you accept we're on the brink of disaster? But I expected the professor to grasp the enormity of our folly.
We've no reason to believe the results of our experiments are other than benign.
What are they? And how do they link with these murders?
I'm going to find out about it.
Is that one of Reese Gallifrey 97's trailers?
No, not that one.
Oh, okay. I was hoping it was, just simply so I could say happy birthday to him, because I believe it's his birthday. But as we've used him before, happy birthday, Reese from Gallifrey 97. An absolute dude.
Happy birthday.
We usually use his trailers without asking. So
yeah, he's a top guy, Reese. Yeah,
he is a top guy.
Known him for years, haven't we? Met up with him.
Yes,
quite a few times. A top guy. Yeah, happy birthday, dude. Right, Terror of the Vervoids. It was first broadcast. Started on the 1st of November and finished up on the 22nd of November 1986. It's a 4-parter. It was written by Pip and Jane Baker, directed by Chris Clough. Recognise that name, obviously. Overseen by John Nathan Turner. And the sort of rough synopsis for this one is we're on part 3 of the overall trial of a Time Lord. So now we're in the Doctor's future. So we've done his past, present. Now we're in the future. And we said goodbye to Perry in the last one. Now we get to see his future companion, which we know turns out to be Melanie Bush. And the two of them receive a distress call. So they go on to the Hyperion 3, which is such a cool name. It's kind of like this, like a cruise liner in space, I suppose. And there's these scientist dudes who are trying to ship back this dodgy experiment of theirs back to Earth, and it goes a little bit awry. These pods hatch, and the Vervoids unleash themselves, and their instinct kicks in, and they immediately want to just wipe out all of human life, or animal life, as they put it, animal kind. And but they obviously get stopped, and this kind of compounds the evidence stacking up against the Doctor, because while this is going on, like the other 2 parts we've already seen, the show sort of cuts to and from the courtroom scene with the Valeyard and stuff, and the Doctor's kind of changed his tune a little bit now. When we first kicked off with the Mysterious Planet, he was very, very just almost finding the whole thing a bit of a farce and very laughable, and he was very confident, this is all a farce, nothing's going to happen. But now at this stage in the game, he's looking a bit worried. He's because now we can see that he's looking at the bigger picture. Like the other people in the courtroom, they're focusing very much on the events that are happening on the Matrix screen as they're watching it. But the Doctor's looking at the bigger picture. He's like, hold on a minute, I can see things are starting to be manipulated against me now. I can see that, because there's a few times where he's like, hold on a minute, I watched the Matrix earlier and now it's changed, and nobody quite believes him at the moment, and that sort of thing. So he's changed his tune a little bit in the courtroom. He's starting to look a bit nervous now, and then at the end of it, when he defeats the Vervoids, which was the Valeyard's plan all along, that contradicts quite a big law in Time Lord lore, I suppose. I think it's something 7, chapter 7. Law
something 7, yeah.
Where he's essentially wiped out an entire race of beings, because even though there's only a few of them, they were the only ones. So now he's been charged with genocide, along with interfering and murder and all that stuff. So, yeah, we're at part 3, Terror of the Vervoids. So, how are you on this one, buddy? Because last week we differed a little bit. I think in part 1, The Serious Planet, we were fairly similar, and in part 2, I didn't rate last week very highly at all. Whereas you were a bit more like, you preferred it to part 1. So where are you now then with part 3?
Part 3. I've got to be honest. I really struggled with this one.
Yeah.
I really did struggle. It just felt very stilted, and I found myself I found it a bit tedious, to be honest with you. And I think it's probably the story I've watched least out of this series. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I probably should have given it another watch, because I don't think I was in the right mood for it. I think because I'd been watching season 24, which I find a lot of fun, and it sort of rattles along at quite a nice pace, those stories, even, with all their problems. With this one, watching it sort of alongside season 2, I just really struggled. I was just quite bored. I thought the sets were drab. Performances were pretty drab. There is bits of it I liked. And bizarrely, I think episodes 3 and 4, so normally episode 3 is where things take a dip. I thought things actually started to pick up in episodes 3 and 4 in this. Thank goodness, because episodes 1 and 2, I was really thinking like, God, can something happen? This is very talky and just, I don't know, it just wasn't doing anything for me at all. So overall, I'm not overly impressed with this story. It just didn't really do much for me, this one.
No.
I was quite sort of pleased when it wrapped up, and there was some good, I didn't sort of guess who was behind it all. I changed my mind a couple of times, so that's good. It wasn't that predictable. It's one thing I will say about it. Had a few nice little changes in it, but the reason I say I should have watched it again is because I don't feel I really, normally when we do a review, I really try and concentrate on the story so that I know what it's about. When I finished watching this 4-parter, I had zoned out a lot, and I don't really feel I gave it enough attention because I don't really know what was happening. By episode 4, I kind of just wanted it to end, so I wasn't really paying enough attention to it, really. I'd sort of stopped caring, I suppose, because, when they sort of revealed who the murderer was in brackets and stuff like that, and I was like, what, who's he again? I just lost the plot a bit in this one, to be honest with you. I just got bored, unfortunately. So it's probably my least favorite of the 3 so far.
Right.
What do you think,
Sarah of the Vervoids? I think I'm with you on this one, dude. I found it's just a real struggle to get through. I'll be honest with you there. I think when we got to the end of part 2, because I thought it was going to be a fairly decent run, because there's a really good cliffhanger at the end of part 1.
It is a good cliffhanger. Although Mel's scream nearly shattered my TV.
Oh yeah, they amped the volume. There, old Mark Ayres, when they were doing the redo for this for the Blu-ray set. We need to crank that scream up a bit, lads.
Oh, ear piercing.
So I thought, this is pretty good. We got a really good cliffhanger at the end of part 1, but then literally about 10 minutes into part 2, I thought, oh no. It just the thing that I struggle with the most with this part is that it feels very lackluster.
It really does, yeah.
In its performance for pretty much everything. There are times when, because there's plenty of stories that are out there, and plenty that we've reviewed where we've said plenty of times, the story's not great, the script's not brilliant, but whoever actor or actors has really put in a stellar performance, and because of that, it's ended up being a pretty good story. I can't even really say that with this one, to be honest with you. I think even Colin Baker, I think he's just starting to lose the will to live with it after a little while, because there are times like when we reviewed The Mysterious Planet, some of the best scenes for me was when he was in the courtroom facing off against the Valeyard. I thought, he's really on it. Yeah. He's like, day one of filming, he's enthusiastic, and he's just gonna, he was on fire. He was really good. But then as we've gone through, and now we're at part 3, it just seems like it seems like everybody involved has just been like, maybe we shouldn't have 4-parted this one. Maybe we should have wrapped up this week and gone out on a belter, because we've got another week to do before we wrap it all up. It's and then some of the people that, like you mentioned, the performances from some of the other cast members, and it also moves really slowly as well. That's the other thing. Some of the, in what part was it? I think it was part 2 or part 10, however you want to look at the parts across the thing. When they're going from, it's part 3, when they need to find a tape. That's like a bit of evidence. They need to find this tape.
Yes.
How long does it take, for them to walk down a few corridors? They go into one room and they find it's all messy, and they go back and then they do something else, and then there's another conversation somewhere, and you think, well, what's happening with this tape then? Because that was the priority a second ago. Then there's some people talking about something else, and then we come back, and then after all that build-up, the guy and the doctor, he just pulls it out of his pocket. He's like, here we go. Here it is. Here's a tape, by the way. And it's just really all of these sort of mini little events that happen, even the really big stuff, like the ship that's, heading towards a black hole. Even that's, all these things are sort of anticlimactic as you go through the story. Nothing really has any big apart from that cliffhanger to episode 1, which I really liked. Everything else is just like, oh, this is building. No, we're back again. Oh, this bit's building. No, we're back at slow pace again. Oh, this bit's going to be written. No. So that's how I felt, mate. It's really slow.
Yeah, because I know what you mean, because there's a bit where cliffhanger to part 2, maybe, I don't know. There's a bit where they sort of open this sort of pod or bed or whatever it is, and there's a woman who started to sort of turn half plant-like, and her eyes all pulsating, and I was thinking, oh, that looks great. That's really creepy. What's she gonna do? She don't even get off the bed. She like, it just doesn't go anywhere, does it? She doesn't do anything.
She just lays there and sort of stares at them.
Yeah,
while they scream. Yeah.
So things like that, I agree. I think the thing with it is the lackluster performance of the cast as well. I got to agree with you on that, because especially Doland. Does Malcolm Tierney know that the cameras are rolling? I've never seen anyone give such a bland, boring. The way he says his line, I can't hear what he's saying half the time. He's just mumbling along, Doctor, don't move. It's like, oh, for goodness sake. If I'd have been the director, I'd have been on that floor and been like, Malcolm, can you put a bit of fire in the belly, mate? Come on. He is just so drab. It's unbelievable. But he's the rest of the cast are not much better. The only ones for me that were putting anything into their performance was Bonnie, bless her, is trying really hard. I think she's trying to inject some fear, and she's running around. At least she's up for doing something. And Anna Blackman, she does often play these sort of parts, but she's good at them. Playing the sort of mouthy old
lash.
Yeah. So again, she gives a sort of pretty standard but solid performance. So apart from Bonnie and Anna Blackman, what's Anna Blackman's name? It's Professor Lasky or something.
Lasky.
Yeah. She, apart from those two, and Colin, I'm sorry to say, just is pretty much going through the motions a bit in this. But the rest of them are so drab. And yes, you can criticize us all you like for forgetting names, but there was no way in this world I was going to remember anyone's name in this, because they simply didn't care about any of them, to be honest. Yeah. There's that bit where the Doctor recognizes the guy on the spaceship, Travers, is it? And you think, oh, how does the Doctor know him? And again, it just doesn't really go anywhere. It's just pointless. And, we've met before. Stuff like that. So, I think if the cast had perhaps just put a little bit more effort in it, it might have brought it up a bit. But that's what I mean. It's so stilted. It's like watching a stage play with really bad sets that basically it's their 110th performance, and they've been, they're pretty worn down, but we've got to go on stage again tonight because the audience are all there and the house is packed. So they stroll on, they read the lines, and they stroll off, they get changed, they go home. That's what it feels like to me. It's just like watching a really run-in-the-mill stage play that just doesn't have any go about it at all.
Yeah, I read you, mate. There are some cool bits to it, though. However, there are a couple of cool bits.
I will try and balance my review with some positive. Sorry.
Yeah. There was one character that I really liked, actually, but he wasn't in it that often, which is a shame. It was the character called, it's either Bruckner or Bruchner. He was one of the scientists that was in cahoots with Lasky and Doland. He was the guy that was sort of bald on top with the hair around the side and the mustache and stuff.
Yes.
So there's especially in part 3, he just goes nuts. He's getting quite panicky and hysterical about the whole situation, and the other two, they're just like, oh, shut up. But then he's sort of going off on one, and then he just loses it. He starts knocking people out. He takes over the ship, and because he sees from a scientific point of view what's going to happen when they get back to Earth. He knows what's going to happen. It's going to wipe out, human life essentially. So even though the other two are like, oh, we'll sort it out, don't worry. This is so Lasky and Dolan, they're like, oh, be quiet. But this guy, he's like, no, and he loses it, and he knocks people out, and then he takes control of the ship, and he's flying it. He changes the course, and he's like going to fly the ship into the black hole and kill everybody. So he was a really interesting character to me, because just the way that he David Alistair, who played him, just the way he played this kind of he played it in a sort of paranoid, jumpy sort of way as well. When they go down to investigate where the pods have been hatched and all the rest of it, the other guy, Doland, is like, everything's fine. He's always trying to sort of. His performance was drab anyway, so everything was going to be low key anyway. But Bruckner's like, is it Bruckner or Bruckner? I really can't remember. He's like, no, I saw movement. I saw someone out there, and they run out, and he's just like, will you calm down? And he's like, and they have these series of arguments with each other and stuff. And at the end, he gets killed. Unfortunately, I think the Vervoids unleash some gas into the cockpit, into the bridge, and kill him. But just a really cool little character that provided a bit of spice to the story and have really needed. I think if they'd have stretched out a little bit longer for him, and we had this kind of will he, won't he, will they stop him before they go into the black? Because that could have been a much better. Because what I would have liked to have seen in my professional decades of screenwriting, obviously, what I would like to have seen is the focus move away from the Vervoids earlier on in the. Because I get what they were trying to do. There was a bit of a slow build-up, wasn't it? It's quite a while into the story before we actually see the Vervoid. So you can see what they were doing as a big build-up. But I'd like to have seen them shown earlier, and then the focus shift away from those guys and more about the ship going into the black hole. Because that would have been a awesome, massive build-up with Bruckner sort of holding on for longer. And them trying to stop him and all that stuff. And then that could have been a really good climax, like a real sort of on the edge of your seat stuff, like the ship's just about to get pulled in by the black hole, but then the Doctor comes up with one of his really cool plans and does that stuff. So that stuff I found really cool, but there just wasn't enough of it with that character.
I didn't, because I didn't really feel any sort of threat from the black hole at all. It was kind of there in the background. Oh, we're near a black hole, but there wasn't anything. Yeah, that they didn't build up at all.
Yeah.
The Vervoids themselves, I think, they have the potential to be really quite scary and creepy if they were shot better. Kept a bit more in the shadows, if you know what I mean. But we sort of see the way they're shot. We see far too much of them. Because from a distance they look quite good, don't they? But then when you come up and they're all sort of cloth and you can see the tracksuit bottoms underneath the costume, and the way they're shot isn't particularly done well, I don't think, but I do think they had potential. I think the design, I know we laugh and because it does look a little bit rude from some angles, but I do think they had the potential to be creepy because when they're firing darts into people's necks and hands and things, it's quite gross. So yeah, I think they had a lot more potential. To Vervoids. The robot things are quite interesting as well. What are they called? Those robot people that are on there. One of them turns out to be a human, doesn't it? They take the mask off.
Oh yeah, they're not robots. They're are they? They are robots, aren't they? They're
Actually, I don't think they are. I don't know. They're beings in a case. See, this is the reason I wish I'd given it another watch, because I don't even really know what they are.
The Megarians.
And I know that there are people would be shouting at me saying, "Well, of course, there's whatever they were." I think they had potential as well, because you weren't sure. You felt like they might be bad or they could be good. You weren't sure about them. And I do like the bit when they take off the mask the second time, and they've done this. They've sort of put this grey over the mouth.
Yeah,
and painted the guy. I thought that was creepy, and that looked really good. I thought, so I was more. I'd like to have a bit more of them involved in it as well. Like, what were they doing? Because it reminded me a little bit of sort of Robots of Death, but just not done anywhere near as well. That you couldn't work out if they were good or bad.
Yeah, the Megarians they were.
That's it, Megarians. They because cool. the doctor spots that one of them isn't using the translator.
That's right. Yeah.
So is it a human in there or something? Again, I'm sorry. I should have watched more carefully. I didn't really know why there was a human dressed as a Mongolian. What was there a reason for that?
I think it was the guy that they mistook when they first arrive on the ship. So, there was that old guy.
Yes.
And he was like,
right.
"Oh, you're Professor or something, whatever." And he's like, "No, I'm not." And he runs off.
That's it.
I think it was that guy.
It was.
Yeah.
It was that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But the Megarians, they were cool. And do you know what? The first time I watched this a few years ago, I remember because there's three of them that stand together, and then one puts his translator on, and then the other one doesn't. And I was like, had my smug face on when I first watched it, because I was like, there's a mistake in the program. That one hasn't put his translator on. I found a mistake in Doctor Who. Aren't I brilliant? And then when we go forward a bit to the courtroom, the Doctor's like, I think you'll find that there's a thing going on here, because then it was all staged. Basically, it was the mistake was meant to be obvious, and I was like, oh, I thought I found a mistake then within Doctor Who. But yeah, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, because this is the one with the least amount of courtroom scenes, I think. And I was sat there thinking, come on, I just need something to break the story up and wake me up a bit. So I would have actually liked a bit more of that. Does the courtroom look like it's lit differently to you as well? It looks a bit more somber. It's not as bright, is it, in this one?
I hadn't noticed that, to be honest.
The courtroom itself,
no, I hadn't
just
noticed.
looks like... Oh, I just thought it looked different. I wondered if it's because they were sort of mourning Perry or something, because that's one thing I did like, is that it starts with the Doctor's obviously gone off and had a bereavement rest, doesn't he? So they've allowed him time to go and let sink in, that Perry has died. So I like the fact it started with that rather than just sort of forgetting all about her straight away. And I did find the intro with Mel quite funny when she's like got him on the exercise bike, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. That was quite funny.
That was funny, actually, yeah.
And the carrot juice line. And so what do you think about Sixie and Mel together? Because it's a totally different dynamic, isn't it? Mel's quite bossy. She's firing all the shots. And the Doctor seems to be not under the thumb exactly, but he's certainly not the Doctor that we saw in the Twin Dilemma, is he? He'd have strangled Mel, that Doctor. But this one, he's on the exercise bike. He's seems to be taking orders from her. What do you think of the dynamic between those two so far?
Yeah, I quite like this one.
It's just different, isn't it? I like it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, because we had good things to say when we kicked off the Mysterious Planet with Perry, because we noted that the chemistry between them was different. It was a happier atmosphere. It was written slightly different, a bit more upbeat, and not so much the Doctor just being a complete dick to her all the time. So that was cool.
That's wobbling.
Yeah. And then this one, do you know what? I think it's just something to do with Nicola Bryant's performance as well, because as much as I appreciate the writing that changed and everything, even when it was a nicer atmosphere between the two of them, she was still like, oh, Doctor.
Oh no, she's very whiny.
Yeah, it was that all the time, wasn't it? Still, like, oh, Doctor. Every 5 minutes. So the fact that Mel's very much like, oh, sod off. She's got that kind of, you either do it or you don't. I don't care, and we're going to go and do this kind of thing. She's got a bit more fire in the belly.
Yes, yeah. I'm liking Mel. I think we don't get much of these two together, but there's a good scope for a bit of comedy between, the sort of much needed sort of light relief, I think, with these two. I do feel sorry for Colin though. I mean, what have they put him in this story? So they've looked at him and they thought, do you know, Colin looks good on screen, but what this guy really needs is a bit more colour. So not only has he got that coat on, which I do like, by the way, I like the Sixth Doctor's coat, but, it's very colourful. It certainly doesn't need a really garish waistcoat added underneath. And it certainly doesn't need another thing added of a cravat with yellow cravat with stuff. He just looks he must have been baking in all of that stuff, and it doesn't do him any favors. I mean, the waistcoat is hideous.
Yeah,
if anything, they should have simplified the costume, even just the coat and a white shirt. But he really looks done up like a dog's dinner in this. I just feel sorry for Colin having to try and act under all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I think there was I don't think we mentioned this back when we were talking about the previous parts, but there was something to do with the change in his costume that was meant to signify the time period that we were looking at him in.
Oh, of course, yes, because this is supposed to be his future, right?
Yeah. So in the Mysterious Planet, I think the cravat and the waistcoat maybe that you see during the time on the planet is different to when he's in the courtroom, and I think they tried to do a similar thing here, where it's just a little visual cue just to let you know that you're looking at the Doctor in a different time period than the courtroom. I think that's what they were going for.
It makes perfect sense, actually. I should have realised that.
But it is hideous, mate.
I mean, it certainly is noticeable. That does make absolute sense. I should have thought of that. But it's hideous. I mean, the waistcoat is just garish beyond belief. I just felt sorry for him under all of that stuff.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, man. It's and you do feel sorry for Colin though, in a way, don't you? Because when you look back, I mean, how the hell he's
hair permed.
Yeah, I mean, that is a real testament to the character though of Colin Baker himself as a person, because if you look at the crap that he went through, so not only did they not give him the best stories really in terms of writing for the show at that point, they also dressed him up to look like a complete idiot in a lot of it. Even though some people are a fan of that outfit, they dressed him like a complete idiot for a lot of it, and then they fired him to boot. And then you look at someone like Chris Eccleston, who had a bit of a spat with Russell, and he won't touch anything to do with like on-screen Doctor Who now forever. It seems, he's kind of dipped his toe in the water a little bit with conventions over the last year or so, and he's warmed up a little bit to fandom, but he won't touch anything to do with the TV series or anything that Russell's worked on. He just won't go near it. Whereas you got Colin that was treated like absolute beep, and he's always up for anything to do with it. So
he does rise above it. I mean, anyone who's ever seen him, I mean, Colin will always give a good performance. That in terms of no matter how he's dressed. If you look at him in this Blake 7 episode, my word, that costume to rise above that. So yeah, he always will rise to the occasion, if you like. But I didn't understand why he chose a story from his future as well, because how would he even know that was going to help him in the court case? So if it's his future, I get that he's been allowed to watch it, but I didn't get that concept either. Like, yes, this is a story from my future that hasn't even happened yet, but I know what happened because I'm going to watch it. And so when I do finally live that story for real, I'll have already seen it on the screen. It just didn't make any sense to me, that.
I think initially, I could be wrong, but I think initially the Doctor wanted to pick this particular story or adventure, if you like, because it was meant to highlight the fact that he was called upon to help. So they received the Mayday message. So he was basically requested to go and try and help because there was emergency. And then as that played out, the Valeyard's gone in afterwards and has gone, I can see what you're trying to do here, but I'm going to tinker with the Matrix a little bit more, and now I'm going to turn this around and make it look like you've caused a load more deaths and wiped out the Vervoids and stuff. So,
how would the Doctor have known about it if it's in his future? How would he have known that? Oh, that would be a good one to pick, because he wouldn't have known it had happened.
Well,
or did someone say, "I've got a good one for you"? I got a good one for you, Doctor. Put this cassette in the recorder because this is a good one.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I just didn't quite get it. I mean, I guess the future thing's got to happen because we're introducing Mel.
Yeah.
So it's got to be in the future because of Mel. But yeah, I don't know. I think it opens a few cans of worms. That I'm not quite sure, because I'm guessing when he leaves with Mel at the end, then. Oh, I guess we'll have to see in the next part, but I just can't work out how it sort of all comes together.
Yeah, I mean, I do struggle with that when you have to think sort of timey-wimey. Like, how would he know about that yet? Because he would have to cross his own time stream to go and look at his future and stuff and all that. It does get a bit timey-wimey, so it's best just to... It's best just to have this one swept under the carpet a little bit.
Did he dwell on Peri's death enough, do you think?
No.
I mean, we don't want to dwell on it too much, but did he?
Not really.
Again, I suppose, no.
It's a real...
It's all off screen, I suppose, which you could say he was... We don't know how long he was out there for, but...
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's a sad one for Peri, really, because she was taken out of the show very abruptly. Without any goodbyes like a lot of the companions do get. And then when the Doctor does have that moment of reflection at the start in the courtroom about Peri, it's over pretty quick. And then we move on. So poor old Peri, she's been wiped she's been wiped off the show like fairly conveniently. And then before we have a decent chunk of time, because mind you, I suppose that Davison didn't really mourn Adric too much. You know, there was a couple of scenes where
no, he didn't.
Somebody mentioned, I think it might have been Tegan, who said something to the Doctor about Adric, and he just sort of has this forlorn look for a second. He's like, yes, you know, and he says something, and then they just move on, and then that's it. Like with a click of the fingers, like, you know, we're off and rolling again. So
yeah,
I don't think that's unique to Colin. I think sometimes you just got to crack on, especially with people like Adric. Nice lad. But anyway, are you making tea or not?
Yeah. Where's those cocktails? Hang on a minute.
What do you think to the undercover dude that sort of went nuts as well at the end? Rudge, he was the Dennis Hawthorne. He played the security guy. So Commodore Travers always had the hump with him. So Travers was always like, you're meant to be head of security and you've let this go on. What the bloody hell are you playing at? So Rudge, he kind of loses his crap as well towards the end, and that was quite cool.
He was one of the better ones, wasn't he? I have to say, yeah, in a cast that wasn't particularly great. He at least was given a bit of something, I thought.
Yeah,
it wasn't too bad.
That was
those
quite
funny
cool.
Guns, those strange, like firing. They were weird guns, weren't they?
Oh, the staple guns with the bit of plastic.
Staple gun. That's it. I knew it. Yeah, I knew it reminded me of something. Yeah, staple gun.
Yeah, I think they have to try things now and then, don't they? They can't keep using the same style of weapon. They have to come up with something.
Yeah, no, I thought it was cool. I like the fact it was just a little bit different. Yeah, I'll tell you what else was a bit different. And the music.
The
music's dreadful in this.
Yeah, it's
another thing. Who did the music in this?
I love the way you say that
Malcolm
sometimes.
Clark.
Who did the music for this?
It did. I didn't like the music in this.
No, I mean, to be fair,
I know the name Malcolm Clark. I think he's done quite a bit as well. Sorry, Malcolm.
Yeah, Shock was quite cool.
Didn't fit. Yes, Shock is good. He did that as well, did he?
And also, not that it's a great story. Hold on. Oh, have I just let slip a future score of something we haven't reviewed yet? Hold on. No, we've done it. Yeah. So even though it's not a great story, the music to the Twin Dilemma is really cool.
Did he do that as well? I do quite like the music in that as well, actually.
Yeah, so he's done a couple of good ones.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found this a little bit... it's a bit like Attack of the Cybermen. It keeps using the same sound stings.
Yeah.
And it gets on my nerves. It's not as bad as Attack of the Cybermen with the... do-do-do. Drove me crackers.
Well, this was his last project on Doctor Who, so that says it all.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, I mean, it's not awful.
No,
Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. But I did make a note of that. It was just not fitted in, really. I didn't really like it.
Yeah, he did the Sea Devils, though, dude.
Did he?
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Oh man, that is ear shattering. You see, Devils. Although I kind of like it in a way. I remember putting that on when I had a friend round for dinner. She just sat down. I said, I'll just put some nice soothing music on. She's like, oh, that'd be nice. I put the Sea Devils on. She was like, what the hell is this? I was like, yeah, it's good, isn't it? So yeah. Oh, so at least we've got that.
Yeah. So in this one, you mentioned the scene with the Doctor on the exercise bike in the TARDIS and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the last time Colin ever set foot in the TARDIS room.
Is it?
Yeah, that was the last time he ever filmed in there.
Yeah, because I think so. This must have been the last story they filmed then, maybe, because I think his last scene that he filmed is in one of those corridors. I remember it come up because I tend to watch these with the production notes, and it said that was the last line that Colin actually ever filmed as the Doctor, and it was such an inconsequential line. I can't even remember what it was. It's just he's just in the corridor and he's like, "Well, we must go back," or something like that. And
that's right.
That was it. They said that was Colin's last thing that he filmed. I thought, God, what? So yeah, this must have been last in the production then, I assume.
Yeah, sad times.
Mm.
Yeah, sad times that your last scene in the TARDIS control room is basically getting trolled by the companion to drink carrot juice.
So that's bizarre then. So they filmed The Ultimate Foe before this, did they? Or did they just go back and reshoot some scenes? I don't know. How does that work?
I don't know, dude. I just know that, this was the last scene that he filmed in the TARDIS console room.
I shall have to watch the the featurettes to see what's going on, because I know that when we review the Ultimate Foe next week, I am going to make sure I find time to watch. I know there's a brilliant documentary somewhere on these discs about all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, with Eric Saywood and Robert Holmes dying and Pip and Jane coming in. So I'm going to make sure I watch that, because it tells you all the stuff that went on, and so that might help explain some of this stuff. Yeah.
Also, you mentioned that the scream that Mel does at the end of is ear shattering.
It is.
I didn't know that had been adjusted. So the scream that you hear is not the actual scream that she did on set that was recorded and picked up.
Oh.
So what they did was they changed the pitch of the scream to match the opening notes of the theme that kicks in at the end.
Oh yeah, I think I heard that. Yeah,
so it's all in sync. Yeah.
So yeah.
Which I thought was a happy accident, but no, they actually
they changed it, did they?
They changed it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what do you think? There was one thing that I couldn't work out. I must have been having a brain freeze moment. At the end. So at the end, when the ship was changed course and it was heading towards the black hole, and the Vervoids had released the gas, and the only people that could survive were the guys, the Megarians. They went into the bridge to fix the course, because their storyline was actually kind of cool, which they didn't really dive into too much, because they were basically on board the ship to hijack it with the help of the security dude, Rudge, because they felt like all of these things on board were taken from their planet in the first place.
Yeah.
So, but obviously their plan wasn't to go into the black hole, so they need to fix that more than anyone else. So they were the only ones that could go in it because they could survive the poisonous gas. But there was a scene where one of them turns round and says something like, "We didn't order any refreshments or anything," and then you just see this like acid or something get thrown onto their helmets, and that's how they died. Who threw that acid onto those guys then? Who did that?
I don't know.
You don't know.
There's a lot of this about this story. I don't know.
There's a lot of this going around.
Yeah, I'm afraid I wasn't paying attention enough.
I wasn't.
One of our lovely listeners will let us know.
Yeah, because that confused me, because I thought, well, who's that then? Who's this other mysterious? It was a bit of a Cluedo moment. I was like, it was that person with the acid in the bridge at that point.
Yeah.
So I couldn't figure out who that was. And when it annoyed me as well, because towards the end of the story, I was like, oh, damn it.
He's waiting for that thread to be tied up.
Yeah. So I don't know, because when I read up on it afterwards last night, the only thing that's sort of documented about it is an unknown assailant kills the Megarians by throwing a liquid at them, which damages their suits. So, but I couldn't figure out who that was.
Who would have done it? It's probably Doland. Is he still around at this point, or has he been killed?
He's Doland's around. Yep. Yes. So anyway, I didn't know if you knew, because I
didn't, mate. Sorry, I zoned out so much in this story.
Yeah, listeners.
I really did.
Yeah, listeners, please help with that one. Yeah. We don't know who killed the Megarians, and I'd like to know.
Maybe it's in the book. I'm looking at the cover of the Target book, and it's yeah.
It's not Chris Achilleos, is it?
I'm more the it just looks a bit. I mean, it wouldn't look out of place in a
steady
adult shop, would it? But maybe it's explained in the book.
Maybe, yeah, it probably will be, actually, because the Target books
to go on top of your big pile of books you haven't read.
This could be the one to get me, because I went last couple of years. I've read a ton of the Target books, but I haven't read any for a while. Oh, this will be the one, would it?
This will be the one. Yeah, let's get it. I'll get on eBay later, see if I can find it.
So I'd like to know that. So listeners, to help out with that one. Did you see these at the costumes for these at the Doctor Who experience?
I think I did. Yes, I feel like I've seen the actual costumes. I can't remember if it was at the experience or the festival thing that we went to. But yeah, I feel like I've seen these for real somewhere.
Yeah, they look completely different than they did on screen. I don't know if that's because just time and atmosphere have got to them. But so in the on screen, the top of their heads, like the external brain, I suppose, and the bits along the side of their mouth, that was like really light on screen. They're almost sort of a really light creamy colour. But then when you see them up close, these are actually quite dark, like a dark burgundy colour on the side of their faces. And the top of their heads is like a real sort of dark orangey kind of colour. So they actually look quite cool, sort of in person. They don't look like they just look really light, really pale.
Does that come back a bit to what I was saying earlier about the way they were shot? Just
Probably.
maybe wasn't good. Yeah.
Yes. What do you think there wasn't as much, so in the last couple of episodes, we've been treated to that really nice little couple of exterior spaceship shots that kind of look a bit red dwarfy.
Yeah.
We didn't have much of that, did we, in this one? We had one shot. We had one shot where you saw the external view of the Hyperion, but that was it.
Yeah, I mean, that model didn't look as good, did it?
No.
Nowhere near as good.
And there was quite a bit of blue screen going on as well, wasn't there, in this? Unnecessarily, I thought.
Blue screen?
Yeah. So when they're on the bridge, so in the windows.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You know, they're all these like just space scenes. It was just stark black with like white, round stars knocking around. And there was a bit where the Doctor and Mel are up on this sort of gangway. They've gone up these steps of gangway, and I think that's where they're observing something that's going on.
Yeah.
Down below, and that's all done in front of a big blue screen, and it doesn't look too bad, but because the technology wasn't quite there at the time, all of their hair's like all cut off, and they look like it's a very
Colin's
obvious.
hair must have been a nightmare to green screen back.
Well, they both were. Think about Mel and his hair.
Oh yeah,
big,
Mel. Yeah, with the yeah.
So that was weird. I thought, why would you do that? There's no need to do that. There.
I know what you mean. I think just trying to be adventurous, I think. But yeah, it didn't really need it. I must admit the picture. So when they first go on the ship, with Captain Travers, on the starship, where they're in the actual room, and there's that space sort of vortex, on the screen. I thought it looked so washed out. I thought my screen was black and white at first. Did you? It seems really void of colour.
Yeah, a little bit.
The sort of the starship scenes. I don't know, and I wonder if that's something to do with the green screen. Maybe it looks really washed out to me.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. It's it might have been just a problem that plagued some of these episodes, because some of it just looked a bit. Or maybe it was worse on the old original DVDs. I can't remember. But the blue guy watched it on the Blu-ray set. They didn't look too bad. But I do remember on the older DVD releases, it does look a bit faded, if that's the right word, like a bit sort of desaturated and faded.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, desaturated. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of this. There wasn't anything else that stood out to me like, oh, that looks really bad.
No. I just, to be honest, I mean, I'll tell you things. Generally, I thought the sets looked a bit drab, but the one set I thought kind of worked, and it's quite simple, is when the Vervoids hatch, and that's, like you said, that cliffhanger, and you see the claw pod thing come out. That was all done really well, like that tracking shot that goes from that to Mel screaming to everything exploding, and that was a great shot. I just wish we'd seen a bit more of that from the direction, really, because as I said, the rest of it just felt very, very still, and I don't know, just no oomph to it at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's like the overarching problem, I think, with this story. There's no oomph to any of it.
There's no oomph. No.
Who directed this one? Who was it?
Chris Mallett, wasn't it? Oh, Chris Clough, sorry.
Chris Clough, yeah. Yeah. Mind you, looking at some of his other ones, he did the next one as well, The Ultimate Foe. Delta, Happiness Patrol. He did quite a few for McCoy, didn't he?
Dragonfire.
Yeah. See, they're not too... Well, actually, yeah, now I'm reading these, you can definitely tell his style is very static.
Yeah.
Very much like, let's put a camera to view these guys talking, and then we're just going to follow this person down the corridor. It's very much that, isn't it?
There's that's the way it felt like. Yeah. Apart from that one tracking shot where you said, yeah, well, we want a camera zooming back here, get it all in. That was the only one, really.
Yeah, and there wasn't like in some of them, you get like these nice sort of sweeping camera movements and these panning shots and stuff. There's none of that really, is there?
No.
With this, I mean, it's you walk in, like when you go to the scene where anytime you go onto the bridge and you've got what's his name, Commodore Travers, and those guys sitting there, they're just sat down. Nobody's up and doing anything. It's very static, and like the Doctor goes in, and at the start of the scene, at some of those scenes, you think it's going to be pretty cool because the Doctor comes in and he's a little bit bubbly and it's cool, and Mel's there, and then Travers, sometimes you can tell he's going to erupt into a big ruck with the Doctor, but then that he just sort of simmers down and he's like, oh, okay, go on, and here's the key to the vault, go and knock yourself out. He just can't be bothered. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing as well that's kind of weird, is that this guy Travers seems to have run into the Doctor before. It sounded like, because he's very much like, oh, brilliant. This is all I need. Yeah, you're here. Yeah. So you think there'd be some really cool banter between the two of them. And I think they tried to write that in a little bit as the story goes through. But ultimately, it just ended up with Travers just caving in all the time. He's like, absolutely, under no circumstances is this man to do whatever. And then the Doctor comes in. He's like, oh, actually, yeah, I've changed my mind.
Give him the list.
I've changed my mind. Yeah, go and do this. Go and do that.
Yeah.
I think that was a plan to begin with. So I think Travers and Rudge at the beginning, he was like, actually, no, I've experienced this dude before. Give him enough rope and he'll hang himself. So just go and let him do his thing for a minute. But then it gets out of control. But then Travers never reins him back in. Like there's been so many stories where people have said to the Doctor, I want you out of here. I want you gone. This is, your trouble sort of thing. And I think Travers is thinking that at times, but never really says it. Yeah. He just sort of caves like a little, Yeah.
We could have had more ruckus between the Doctor and Travers. I'm just intrigued that, like even Mel, I don't think even says like, how do you know him then? They just sort of throw it in there, but it's not really made anything of, is it at all?
Yeah, they don't really explore much, do they?
No.
Yoth. Right, anything else? Any other characters? Right, so Honor Blackman then. Really not doing too much, is she?
No, but I did like her in it.
Did you?
I thought I did. I think she always plays that sort of part, doesn't she? The sort of battle axe. Yeah. But yeah, no, I thought she was all right, because I think sometimes when you get these guest stars, in the JNT era, they're very often not, like Beryl Reid, they're very often out of place, and you think, oh, what, they're very miscast. Whereas I thought Honor Blackman, she's just playing that sort of annoying cruise liner customer who obviously turns out to be a bit more than that. But I thought, yeah, she was quite suited to that role.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Okay.
She was definitely a pull for the ratings earlier on. There's I found this Radio Times advert, and it just had a black and white photo of her, and the tagline on the photo said, "Glamorous passenger on a space liner heading for disaster. Honor Blackman plays suspect scientist Professor Lasky. BBC One 5:45 Doctor Who."
Brilliant. Yeah, well, she's a Bond girl. She was a big name actually back then. She recently passed as well, didn't she? Which is sad. And she was. Yeah, I liked her. I think she was all right.
Talking of the ratings and stuff, roughly just over 5 million viewers per part. It's not too bad.
That's not too bad, is it?
Not really.
All things considered.
Anything else, dude, to run through with this one? Anything else on your list? I know you've got a few notes littered around.
Yeah, I've got my note. I was looking for a minute. I don't think so. I'm looking through. No, I think I've pretty much covered it, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't got too much, mate. It's a real shame for this one, mate. I'll be honest with you, because I honestly was really hoping for this to pick up, because I know some people go up and down with Trial of a Time Lord as they go through it. But for me, so far, it started off pretty decent, and now we've gone downhill since part 1, The Mysterious Planet. So I'm really hoping that next week, The Ultimate Foe, it picks up a little bit, and we have some oomph and some enthusiasm from the cast and stuff. So
I think next week's going to be interesting. I'm quite looking forward to Ultimate Foe to see how this all ties up. I mean, I've seen it before, obviously, but this is not a series I go to very often, and I honestly can't remember how this all comes together. I was myself quite looking forward to watching Terror of the Vervoids. It is the story that I remember least of from this series, but unfortunately, having rewatched it, I think I now know why. But the murder mystery thing and that, I was kind of looking forward to going back to this one. I think that's why I'm a bit disappointed in it, because I remembered the Vervoids, I remember that tracking shot, I remember Honor Blackman murder mystery. I thought, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It just really didn't do anything for me, sadly, this one.
Yeah, I read your bud. Yeah, it just sort of plods along like last week to me. Plods along.
I definitely preferred Mind Warp, definitely.
Mind Warp. Yeah, I preferred Mind Warp to this, which is not. Yeah. Anyway,
what did you rate Mind Warp?
4.5.
Oh God!
So yeah,
what the hell are you going to rate this?
Yeah, we're going downhill, mate, with this one. So actually, it's my turn to go first. So
it is. Yeah,
I'm actually going to score it slightly lower. Actually, I'm going with a 4.
Yeah, I was going to say. I wrote 4.5. That does seem really low. Is it that bad, or was I just not in the mood for it? That's what I'm asking myself, because I really don't think. I think if I was in a different mood, I might have slightly enjoyed it more. Not much. I'm going to go over 5. I'm going to be a bit generous with it. I'm going to go over 5 because I genuinely think I just wasn't in the mood for this story at all. I couldn't get into it, but I don't think it's as bad. That bad.
Okay.
I'll go over 5.
Go with a 5.
Middle of the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Middle of the road. Okay. So just a bit of context for anyone that didn't listen from the start of the month. For The Mysterious Planet, Adam gave it a 6.5. I gave that a 6. Last week for Mind Warp, Adam gave it a 5. Gave it a 7. Sorry.
7.
And I gave it a 4.5. And now this week I'm down to a 4, and Adam's given it a 5. So.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. What did our awesome listeners think? We had a half a dozen really cool reviews in. As always, let's kick off with Sammy from Down Under.
G'day, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, Terror of the Vervoids. Back in the days when we could meet up, the Doctor Who fan club screened this story, and the then president decided to get a bunch of succulents and have them available for club members to take home as their own Vervoid. Shout out to the members of the fan club. Love you guys. Look forward to seeing your happy faces at some point. Anyway, the story is alright. It's not wonderful. Mel's alright. I don't find her nearly as annoying as Tegan. Sorry, Tegan. I give it 6 Vervoids out of 10. Stay safe. Wash your hands. See ya.
A 6.
A 6? Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that about Dwas. That's interesting.
Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I hope you're staying safe, Sammy, also. Thank you very much, as always. Right, moving on. Cheeky Chappy, Alex Kingdom.
Hello, Gary and Adam of the Big Blue Box podcast. How are you doing? Today it's Terror of the Vervoids, but I'll keep it PG, but Jesus Christ. Ugh. Right. What do I think of the story? It's definitely my least favourite of the bunch so far. Now look guys, I'm sorry, but I can't get past their design. It brings in Mel, who is my least favourite companion of all time. Sorry, Bonnie. But hey, at least we still had Colin. So for that point only, it gets a 2. But, oh no. I never want to see, thankfully they'll never bring them back. I don't want to see those Vervoids again. Sorry guys, but for me it's a 2 out of 10. Hopefully we can end off with a good episode for the Ultimate Foe, but... Ooh.
Oh dear.
Alex loving it there.
A 2. A 2 from Alex. Crikey Moses. I could tell you weren't into that at all, mate. Crikey.
I wonder what he was going to say.
Yeah,
we're a family podcast, Alex.
Yep, I was hovering over the edit button there. They're going to pull him off. Get the cane that comes in and drag someone off the stage.
Yeah, the hook. Yeah.
Crikey. Anyway, a 2 from Alex. Bloody hell. Right, this is Ian from France. Ian Stevens has got a slightly longer review because he's missed the last couple of weeks. I just wanted to put his thoughts on last week as well. So here we go. Ian Stevens.
Hi, Ian from France here. Sorry, life got in the way and I missed the last 2 audio reviews. So, in brief, Mysterious Planet, the funniest Who script ever written. If you take this seriously and can't see the humour, you've totally missed the point. Mind Warp, the nadir of classic Who. Utterly objectionable on every level, and Brian Blessed deserves to have his equity card shredded for his performance. -5 out of 10. Now, Terror of the Vervoids. What's that? A piece of lettuce? Looks tasty. But wait, maybe it has feelings too. A strange story this, both clinical and claustrophobic. The setting is inspired and reminiscent of the Troughton era. No one's getting out of here, and there's something big and scary out to get us all. It's the Thing, right? Only instead of a shape-shifting monstrosity, it's massive cucumbers. Plus points, the design of the Vervoids. Brilliant. Okay, they look like massive vaginas. But since when has that ever been a problem, really? Colin is on point. He is decisive and distinctly doctorish. On a Blackman, as the stunt casting works well, which is unusual for Who, to be honest. The negatives, well, there's only one really. It's Mel. Bonnie Langford as a companion was such a terrible idea, it is really hard to forgive. Take someone more suitable to Panto or Blue Peter and put her in Who, and what you get is the moment Who became a kids show, something it had never truly been before. Listen, I'm sure she's a lovely woman, but as an actor, she is woeful, and as a companion, well, let's just say that New Who's Ryan is doing a better job, and leave it at that. Do I think Terror of the Vervoids is a good story? No. Do I love it? Yes. Long live the leaf. 8 leafy vulvas out of 10. Alors, ça suffit. Je partis. À bientôt, mes amis. Et mange pas de les légumes. Ils se souviendront. Don't eat the vegetables. They will remember.
Long live the leaf.
The leaf.
I'm making that hashtag.
Ian. I don't even know where to start, mate. They turned out to be cucumbers, indeed.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, not a fan of the story, but you love it regardless. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Enjoyable review as always. Thank you very much, Ian. Moving on. This is Blair Donnelly. Now, Blair, I must have a big apology. Blair sent in a review last week, but for some strange reason, I just didn't play it. I've no idea why. It must have slipped through the net. So apologies, Blair. But anyway, here is Blair's review.
Hi guys, Blair from Ontario, Canada. So far, my favorite story of the arc. I like a whodunit type episode. This has a Murder on the Orient Express / Clue vibe to it. Everyone has something to hide list of characters. Each of the characters has their own unique and interesting motives and were working independently on their own schemes. I didn't mind the Vervoids either, despite their appearance. I like how we just get introduced to Mel. She appears on screen and she's already had some adventures with the Doctor. A unique way to meet a new companion. Mel wasn't as bad as I remember until I heard the scream. She must have been contractually obligated to scream in every episode. In the previous 2 stories, I found myself wanting more courtroom scenes, as I found them more interesting. However, in this episode, I was way more invested in the story, so I didn't mind not having as many scenes this time. I liked how the Doctor uses these events in his defense only to have it backfire in the last scene. Overall, a solid story. I score it 8.5. I'm looking forward to the finale and really hope it lives up to my original memory of it.
Okay.
Interesting, yeah. I wanted more. Less courtroom scenes. That's the opposite to me. I was hoping for more, but yeah, interesting. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, glad you enjoyed that, Blair. Nice one. This is, next up, Martin Arnold.
Wait a minute. They don't look like plants. They look like Terror of the Vervoids. I quite like, actually. I think it's not bad. I don't like Mel. I don't think I need to explain why I don't like Mel. It's something to do with being able to consistently hear things after listening to shrill screaming. Oh, I guess she can't help it. That's just Bonnie Langford's voice, bless her. But this could have sat alongside Nightmare of Eden in Doctor Who's penultimate season, or around that time. It doesn't feel out of place with those episodes at all. The Vervoids themselves are kind of victims. It's a science gone wrong story. It's a classic Who trope, and it's done pretty well. I mean, okay, we can all have a bit of a giggle at the costumes, and I think we all should pause for a good-hearted giggle. They look like, I don't know. I give this a 7 out of 10. It's as good as Mysterious Planet. It's better than Mind Warp. I think it's all right. Laters.
Okay, better than Mind Warp.
Okie-dokie.
Okie dokes. Another good one. Thank you very much, Martin. And lastly, this is Seb Lane.
Hello, Gary and Adam. So we're over halfway through Trial of a Time Lord, which is incredible. It's gone so quickly, actually. I would say I'm enjoying the series so far. But Terror of the Vervoids, I would say I enjoyed it. I think it was just a well-rounded, decent story that was enjoyable. So Anna Blackman was great. Of course, she was the standout of the side cast, in my opinion. I think most of the side cast were pretty strong in this, to be honest. I'm a fan of Mel, actually, so she was a highlight for me. Colin Baker was good as the Doctor, and it was just a solid story, in my opinion. I enjoyed it. There wasn't anything too wrong with it at all. So I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. See you in the next one.
7.5.
7.5 from Seb. Cheers, Seb.
Yeah, do you know what? Some decent scores in there overall. Some decent ones. I must admit, the whole Trial of a Time Lord thing, I honestly thought we would get a lot more negative reviews for it, just because of that's just what people talk about when it concerns Trial of a Time Lord. People never sort of throw any love towards it, and it's never got any decent scores, really. So although we haven't been too impressed with this week's story, it's really cool that there are plenty of people out there that do like it and do appreciate the like Ian and Seb and Martin. So yeah, it's cool. So thank you very much, guys, for your audio clips, your audio reviews. Very much appreciated. The best part of the show. So thank you very much. Let's move on to some of the social stuff. Over on Twitter, we had a few there. Caitlin Dalek said, another decent story by Pip and Jane, which is one I was a bit mixed on at first, but looking back, I did mostly enjoy it. The Doctor and Mel were a fantastic duo together. I really like the design of the Vervoids. The Valeyard is brilliant as always. A 7 out of 10. John Griffiths, if you don't know what the story is being selectively retold by the Valeyard, you'd wonder why Perry isn't being moored and Mel not saying it's bigger on the inside.
True.
Interesting, yeah. Much better court scene, ramped up. Mel, a great addition, and the Doctor on good form. 7 Triffids from me. Nathan, Silent Nerd, C137. This is my personal favourite story from the Trial of a Time Lord. I love the murder mystery theme of the story. I adore Mel. She's a great companion, and I think we establish a relationship between her and Sixie so quickly, considering this is her debut story. A 9 out of 10.
Yes.
Our writer, Jordan Shortman, my favourite from the Trial of a Time Lord.
Jordan.
Yeah, I think Six and Mel work brilliantly well together, especially as this episode shows a softer side to Sixie, something we should have seen much sooner. It's a great mystery for them to solve too. A fun runaround story.
Yeah, there's definitely, I gotta say, one thing I did notice in the story, and it does come up with what he's just said there, is that you can definitely see the difference in the progression of the Sixth Doctor in this.
Yes.
Like I said earlier, if you compare it to the Twin Dilemma Doctor, you can definitely see where Colin was going with it.
Defo, yep. Rick Moran from the Dwas says, for me, the highlight of the season. I love this, a proper whodunit in space. Colin is excellent, plus Honor Blackman gives a solid guest performance. Bonnie gives Mel a strong start, and the Vervoids make for an interesting psychological monster, a big 8 out of 10.
Cheers, Rick.
Edward Gillooly, I quite enjoy this one. I like the whodunit, a 6.5. The Lost on Gallifrey podcast, chaps. Surely old Sixie could have picked a better story than this to show to the court. Why not something casual like Black Orchid? Anyway, banging cliffhanger to part 1, and love the laundry basket sequence, but probably my least favourite of the season, 5.5.
Okay.
Max Cat 36. I love this episode. Colin was amazing, but for goodness sake, Liz, stop screaming. The story itself gave my Unicorn and the Wasp vibes. but I did start drifting away between 2 and 3. I give it a solid 6 out of 10, and then followed it up and said, no, I think that's a bit harsh. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
So some good scores over on Twitter. And then we had a few on Facebook. Dan Hickey, I have to say I enjoyed this the most from the 3 so far. Much prefer Mel to Perry, but this is my first venture into Classic Who, but enjoying it so far, a 7.
Oh, all right.
Your first venture into Classic Who. Well,
wow.
Dan, you're in for a real treat once you get this out the way, mate. I can tell you that. Thank you very much. Aaron Ball says, hope you're safe and well. I enjoy this story. A fun mystery and Sixie and Mel are a nice team up. The Vervoids are interesting. Hope Big Finish does something with them. The trial scenes are good in this as well, as it fits with the Valeyard's evidence, even though we know that he is up to no good. Story is starting to get going now. I'll give it a 7.5.
They don't speak though, do they? Or do they speak?
They do, of course they do. They've got this very
yes, they
voice.
talk very quiet.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Rob Doyle. I also really like this story. It's much better than the previous 2. Unfortunately, Bonnie Langford's scream is annoying. As always, seems to be the case. Her character is much better developed on Big Finish.
Poor old Bonnie's getting some stick.
Yeah. The trial scenes really work well in the story, and the sets and creatures look a bit like a bit of money was spent on them. 7 out of 10. Charlie Turner, possibly the weakest of the season, but still okay at best. Still loving the Valeyard. 4 out of 10 for the story. 9 out of 10 for Michael Jason's performance.
He loves Michael, yeah.
And lastly, Joseph Howarth. This was by far the worst story in the saga. The story was utter garbage. The dialogue is abysmal, and the Vervoids just look like if a corn on the cob were to be mixed with plants and a particular part of the human body, which I can't say because of this podcast. The trial scenes at this point are just padding. The less I say about Mel, the better. I really don't think I need to say any more. This story is crap. 3.5.
Oh dear.
3.5.
Right.
Oh dear. So a couple of poor scores in there, but again, dude, over on Twitter and Facebook, some 7s and 8s, even a 9. So
yeah, mixed bag.
It's not all bad for old Sixie and Vervoids.
No.
And our scores, just to recap, a 5 from him and a 4 from me. What are we up to next week, dude?
Yeah, so we'll be wrapping up Trial of a Time Lord with The Ultimate Foe.
The Ultimate Foe.
Is that written by Pip and Jane? Got a feeling it is.
Yeah.
Got a feeling they were drafted in to do that one. Yes.
Yep.
So Ultimate Foe next week.
Ultimate Foe.
Oh, it's only 2 episodes. Oh, gosh. In my head, I thought it was a 4-parter. Right.
No, it's not 2 parts, is it? Oh, it is. It is, yeah.
It
2
is?
parts, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Pip and Jane off on holiday, it seems.
Are they?
Well, I'm just saying it's only... We want 4 parts, Pip. Well...
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, right.
Well, Jane wants to go on holiday, mate. So you can have 2. We'll give you 2 before we go, and then 2 afterwards if you need them. 2 will do.
2 will do.
Right, so yeah, that's going to wrap, I think, 4, 2, 6, 8.
All righty.
Thank you for sticking with us and listening to this week, episode 268. A couple of cool bits of merch if you're into that stuff. A really cool book on the way. I think I might pick that one up. I love those big form coffee table style books. Very, very cool. Another one for me not to read. And the B&M sets, that's going to be fun and games. That's going to be fun and games. I'll tell you what.
I'll be in my hospital bed saying, Gary, I got them. I also got corona, but I got them.
Well, I was going to say, it's going to be interesting looking at Twitter for the 48 hours after they get released, because that's always just fun and games with that lot. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. But yes, thank you for listening for another week. Next week, as Adam said, we're on to the final part of Trial of a Time Lord, The Ultimate Foe. So get that watch, get your DVDs and Blu-rays out, because we'll be asking for your thoughts, as always, on that. In the meantime, head over to the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of the previous shows on there. Plus our wonderful writing team put out loads of really cool articles over the past week. We've had Maria, who's put out a really cool, massive in-depth review of the final 2 parts of Series 12, which is really cool.
Very good, yes.
Very, very good. And then we've got Jordan, who's doing a lot of Big Finish stuff at the minute. He's reviewed He's gone into the Big Finish vault, so he's looked at Whispers of Terror, which is actually a Colin Baker story, and The Land of the Dead, which is really cool. He's also looked at Class Volume 4, which I think might be the final one for Big Finish for Class for a while.
So far, yeah.
And he's also continued his review of these old Virgin adventure books, which is really cool. So
find the time.
Yeah, he's on fire at the minute, Jordan. So The Left-Handed Hummingbird, which is a McCoy story. So loads of really cool stuff over there on the website. Remember to subscribe to the show. Head over to whatever app you listen to podcasts on, do a search, drop a sub there, or there's links on the website. Plus, we're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Come and connect over there. Just do a search for us or go to the website. And we're on Discord as well. Come and join the Discord server. Come and chat. Plenty of Doctor Who. Also, check out my co-host channel over on YouTube, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, Geek's Handbag. Yeah, plenty of vids on there.
Loads of vids over there. And Adam's on the socials as well. The same name, The Geek's Handbag. Come and get involved. Come and chat. Plenty of Who. There's loads going on with Who at the minute, so come and get involved over there.
We're all over it.
Until next week, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...